So today's the day I'm going to be checking out some soprano mouthpieces today. I'm checking out some brancher mouthpieces. I'm looking for something a bit better for my soprano. I've got the brancher J21 metal and the brancher L21 hard rubber. I'm going to be comparing them to my current mouthpiece, see if I can find something that's going to do a better job for me. So today is the day I'm going to test out some soprano mouthpieces. I've been wanting to do this for ages because I'm just not really happy with the sound on my soprano. So my mate Tim down at Woodwind and Reed has sent me up these two mouthpieces, the branchers, which I'm really excited to test out today. Now Woodwind and Reed are great. I've been buying my reeds from those guys for ages, and they got lots of information about mouthpieces and reeds too. So if you've got some questions, they're the guys to check out, and I've got a link below this video actually. So when it comes to choosing a mouthpiece on soprano, there's lots of different things to think about, and I think the first step has to be having a concept of the sort of sound that you want to go for. For a long time I've been playing on this, which is a Selmer C mouthpiece on soprano. I mean, it's a straight ahead classical mouthpiece, and in fact this is a mouthpiece I've used when performing with a symphony orchestra on soprano because it's really got a lovely round sound. But the first sound that I really fell in love with on soprano that I wanted to emulate, and I think as a saxophone player that's a great point to start your journey when deciding about a mouthpiece, is to look at a player. So for me it was the Branford Marsalis recording Romances for Saxophone. Check this out. Oh man, I loved it. When I first heard that I thought, wow, that's the perfect soprano sound, because it's so round and rich and syrupy, and the way he can get the sound way up the top, it just sounded amazing to me. That's what I wanted to sound like on my soprano. And so that's why I went with this mouthpiece. And a lot of the times I think it's fantastic for me. Even when I'm playing in a jazz style on that mouthpiece, it is good. However, I found some limitations with it. I recently changed my soprano to this new Yamaha Custom Z, which is an awesome instrument. However, for some reason with that mouthpiece, which is quite small, on this soprano, I really struggled to get the low notes to sound well. Even though it's not leaking anywhere, I still struggle to get those low notes out. So I want today to try some mouthpieces that have got a larger chamber. Now another player that I love the sound of on soprano is Kirk Whalum. And he's got a great soprano sound, even if you're not into that commercial style. I think the way that he gets the breathiness in his sound is fantastic, and it's very versatile. But I know from talking to him that he uses a much bigger chamber mouthpiece and a harder reed than what I use. In fact, check this out. This is an idea of what he sounds like. Okay, so today I'm going to try these two mouthpieces out. So this is Brancher, it's a French manufacturer, and these are bigger mouthpieces. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is my Selmer C. I've got a Rovner ligature on it. It's a really open mouthpiece. This is the Brancher, which one's that? The L21. So okay, quick look, they look kind of similar. This comes with a ligature kind of similar to a Rovner, but inside it's a very different thing. It's got more of a shape in there. It's also a bigger tip opening, so it's going to be a bigger sound. I'm going to play through a phrase with my C star, and then I'm going to stick this on and compare. And one of the things I noticed just after having a bit of a blow with these mouthpieces is that I'm having to use a completely different size of reed on these mouthpieces in order to get them to perform so they're comfortable for me. On the Selmer C I'm playing Leger reeds. I'm playing a 3 1/4 reed, whereas on the Brancher L21 I'm playing a 2 1/4. So a whole size different. Let's try this out and see what it sounds like. So I can get a really nice round sound on that, but I've really got to think about those low notes, which drives me crazy. Okay, so I'm going to try the same thing on a Brancher L21 with a Leger 2 1/4 reed. I've only just started playing on this mouthpiece, so obviously I need to spend a lot more time to really get my intonation right, and to find the point where I can control that sound so it's more controlled all the way through. That sounded a bit ropey to me, but straight away, maybe you can hear this, the sound is bigger, and because the opening between the mouthpiece and the reed is bigger, I've got a lot more to play with in terms of intonation, and it gives the sound a much more open feel. It's got a nice feel. You get more projection as well. It's a much different animal to the C star. I mean, it's designed to be a different mouthpiece, but gets me closer to that sound. Okay, so let's try the J21, the gold-plated metal mouthpiece. Now this looks really interesting inside as well. Again, it's got a real table to it. I tested the alto mouthpieces of these actually recently. I'll put a link up there for you, so go check those out if you're looking for an alto mouthpiece, because the comparison between the hard rubber and the metal in the branches on alto is also very interesting. Now, whereas I was using a 2.5 Leger on the L21, the hard rubber one, on the J21, the metal from brancher, I'm having to use a 2.25 reed, Leger 2.25 reed. So it's really important to find the right combination of reed and mouthpiece for every different mouthpiece. All perform differently. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Wow, you know what's really surprising about this mouthpiece is that you kind of expect, if you put a hard rubber mouthpiece against a metal mouthpiece, same manufacturer, similar tip openings, you'd initially expect that the metal is going to be much crazier and brighter, but it's really not the case. And actually I found this with the alto branches as well. I think, in my opinion, that although this is a jazz mouthpiece, it's more designed as a projection thing, I find this actually has got a nicer all-round sound and possibly more versatile sound for me than this. I like this. I think it's great. The hard rubber, the L21, but I like this J21. Somehow it seems a little bit easier to control, and the sound's a little bit smoother. Now for me, I know I'm using a 1/4 strength softer on this than I was on the hard rubber, but a 2.5 I was using on the hard rubber on this made it feel a little bit too uncomfortable for me. I might feel differently after I've been playing it for a few months. But that's an interesting test. So far today I've looked at the J21, the metal from brancher, the L21 hard rubber, and then comparing it with my Selmer C star. So every mouthpiece has got a different quality, and for me, I need to spend a bit more time to find one that's going to match the sound that I'm going for. But if you're choosing a soprano mouthpiece, then I really think that you need to think about all those different elements. First of all, you need to have a good concept of sound. What are you going for? Who are the artists that you like to listen to that have got that perfect soprano sound? And what's the qualities of that sound that you like? Is it the roundness of it? Maybe it's, if you like really commercial players, maybe it's the brightness and the ability to cut through with their soprano sound. You've got a great jazz recording where it's got that warmer, darker sound. Whatever it is, you need to find that thing and look for those qualities in the sound. And then you need to find a mouthpiece that's going to help you to get that in your playing. So experimenting with tip openings, experimenting with materials that they're built from, and also the shape of the mouthpiece internally. All those different things can give you a different sound, but the most important thing I think for soprano mouthpieces is don't get something that's too crazy, because you're going to find it so much more difficult to control in terms of intonation and evenness of sound over your whole range. So rather than going for that super crazy mouthpiece, just back it back a little bit, I think. Find a mouthpiece that's going to get you close to the sound that you want, and then it's up to you to put the time in on your embouchure to build up your strength and really get that sound right. I'm going to spend a bit more time on these mouthpieces, but I hope you found that useful, and I hope that helps you out with your mouthpiece. Let me know in a comment if you've got a mouthpiece that works right for you, or maybe if you've changed something recently that you find is fantastic. And also, if you play these brancher mouthpieces, let me know in a comment, because I'd love to know what you think about them. So I hope that's been useful to you. Don't forget to check out Woodwind and Reed. Those guys are brilliant. They got a great selection of mouthpieces and reeds and accessories, all sorts of stuff. Definitely worth checking out. There's a link below this video. Also, if you're not a Sax School member, go check that out. You can get a 30-day trial. There's hundreds of lessons in there, dozens of great courses. Thousands of players use those lessons every single day to improve their playing. I know they're going to help you too. Anyway, it's a free trial, so jump in and have a look. That's at McGillmusic.com. There's a link for that below. And if it's your first time here, subscribe, because I'm making videos all the time, all sorts of stuff about playing saxophone that's going to help you get better and hopefully inspire you and make saxophone playing a little bit more fun for you as well. So anyway, keep practicing hard. I'm going to spend some time on this mouthpiece and see if I can make a decision. Every mouthpiece has got a different